Hey everyone, my name is Caleb and I am so excited that you are here today. You may have heard that God made each one of us to be so special, so unique, and so rare. There's only one you, and that is what makes you a limited edition. See what I did there? Now, it's one thing to know all of that is true, but sometimes the stuff that makes us unique is the stuff that makes us feel different. And different is not always what we want to be. Now, that reminds me of a time when I was a freshman, right? Went from 8th grade to 9th grade, right? And I was a basketball player. I actually played, don't worry, I'm not making it up, but I played basketball all the time. Like basically since I could even hold a basketball, I was on the court, right? So 8th grade to freshman year, I'm like, I played basketball then, I'm gonna play basketball now. But that summer, I just started to sing a little more. I started to realize that I actually liked singing. And one of my friends came to me, he's like, Caleb, you've gotta try out for the school musical. And I was like, no, that's the same time as basketball. If I wanna be in the school play, then I have to stop playing basketball. And he was like, dude, just do it. And I was like, dude, no. And we went back and forth and he was like, you're never gonna make it to the NBA. And I was like, I know, but I still love playing basketball. And it was just this random back and forth. And when I look back on it, it made me realize that I didn't want me being the singer to be my thing. Like I wanted to be the basketball player, because basketball player, everybody knows somebody who plays basketball. Not everybody's involved in drama club. That would make me feel a little different. And maybe you have something that makes you different from other people in one way or another. I mean, after all, we all have unique and special qualities, but while people may say it's not a bad thing to be different or stand out, you might not really believe it. So, what do? You might try to distract people from the things that make you unique. Maybe you even hide those qualities so that no one will notice them. And honestly, I get it. There are so many reasons it can be scary to be who you really are. But if we're honest, I think we all want to be accepted for who we really are. And we want to be loved no matter what. We know there's a big risk here. If we want to be honest about the things that make us special, unique, and even different, we have to accept the risk that we might get made fun of. We might even get rejected for it. Maybe you feel like, I do not think there is anything that makes me stand out. You feel like you don't have the talent or style or confidence to be a limited edition. Honestly, maybe you kind of wish there was something that made you stand out just a little more. No matter if you know what makes you different or if you wish you stood out a little more, I think we all wonder this same thing at times. How do we discover the way God made us without being afraid of what others might think? There's a story in the Bible written by a man named Samuel. It also happens to be about Samuel. When we read about Samuel and what he experienced thousands of years ago, we're reading about a real guy who wrote down what he really went through. Hold on. Oh boy. Samuel lived thousands of years before Jesus, so his story is found in the Old Testament in the Bible. Samuel was a spiritual leader among his people, and because of this, God directed him to find the next king of Israel, his country. This was a pretty big deal. Samuel was like that guy. He was him, right? God told Samuel to go see a man named Jesse, and God told Samuel that one of the 8 sons, 8, that's a lot of sons, one of the 8 sons of Jesse would be the new king. Now, I'm not sure about you, but there are all kinds of things I would look for if I was choosing someone to be a leader. I would want to pick someone with influence and power, someone who was strong and smart, someone who would be fair and just try to do the right thing. And of course, someone who just looked really cool on a throne. Ah! Samuel probably had a list of qualities just like mine. And when Samuel saw Jesse's oldest son, he was positive he'd found the future king. But that's not exactly how things turned out. When they arrived, Samuel took one look at Eliab and thought, surely this is the Lord's anointed. But the Lord said to Samuel, don't judge by his appearance or height, for I have rejected him. The Lord doesn't see things the way you see them. People judge by outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. Do you know that word anointed? To anoint someone means they were chosen by God. Often, this was shown by rubbing or pouring oil over their head. The oil was a sign that the person had been set apart for a specific purpose. Based on appearance alone, Samuel thought that the oldest son, Eliab, was the chosen one. But almost as soon as Samuel had this thought, God had something to say about it. We as human beings tend to judge on what we can see. We think that what makes someone worthy to be a leader is something we can see or experience. But in God's eyes, it's the heart that makes someone worthy. So, what did Samuel do? He was still there to anoint a king after all. And from there, it became kind of like a competition. One by one, Jesse's other sons presented themselves to Samuel, and one by one, Samuel didn't choose them as king. When it seemed like Samuel was all out of options, he asked one final question. Then Samuel asked, "Are these all the sons you have?" "There is still the youngest," Jesse replied, "but he's out in the fields watching the sheep and goats." "Send for him at once," Samuel said. "We will not sit down to eat until he arrives." So Jesse sent for him. He was dark and handsome with beautiful eyes, and the Lord said, "This is the one. Anoint him." Wait, what? Of all the powerful people in Jesse's family, God chose this guy? The youngest? The one who looked different than the others? The one who spent his time taking care of sheep? This guy would be the king? Well, yeah, he would. His name was David. And he turned out to be one of the most famous kings in the whole Bible. Of course, Samuel had no idea about that. He just knew that God saw something in this kid that nobody else could see. Samuel knew that God saw what made David unique. And instead of rejecting or teasing, God chose David specifically because of what made him different from everyone else. Years after his interaction with Samuel, David did become king, but it was not an easy path. He spent many years still watching sheep, even after God decided he would become the king. At times, his life was even in danger, and of course, he made some really bad decisions. David didn't always get it right, but still, at the end of the day, David was chosen by God. So when he finally became king, David spent time writing down and reflecting on his life. Let's take a look at some of his words. "For you created me in my innermost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well." I love that passage so much. It reminds us what is so valuable about who we are and how we're made. And that is what sets you apart. In other words, you are a limited edition. Now, listen, I get it. Believing this about yourself may be easier said than done. You may not love the things that make you a limited edition. And even if you do love the unique things about you, other people may not. So I want you to try a couple things. First, try positive self-talk. Shift your thinking from negative to positive. The next time you're being hard on yourself about what makes you different, pause. Instead of focusing on what you might not like about yourself, try to focus on what makes you a limited edition. Remember, God encouraged Samuel to see others the way God sees them, and I think God wants us to do the same. We should do this for ourselves and the people around us. And second, build a positive team. Surround yourself with people who celebrate you. Who are the people in your life who love and accept you no matter what? Who are the voices encouraging you to love the way God made you? Who are the people reminding you of what's true and unique about you? These are the kinds of people you want around you. You are a rare, limited edition human. The things that make you a limited edition are not things to hide. Try to find ways to not just like who you are, but to love who you are. You have things to love because they're the things that reflect the way God made you to the world. You are a limited edition. Kind of like that story I was talking about before with the buddy. We were going back and forth of whether or not I should try out for drama club. Eventually, I did. And for all my high school career, all 4 years, I was in drama club. And guys, I loved it. It was so much fun. It was a blast. Like, I'm never gonna forget the roles and characters I got to play, the friends I made, the community I built, the times that we had. It was a blast. And I still sing, maybe not act as much, I'm a little shaky and rusty on that, but I still sing to this day. It's part of what I do almost on a weekly basis. And I love that that's what I get to do. I love that that's part of what makes me unique. I still can play basketball and do all these other fun sports, but the singing, that's what makes me feel like a limited edition. So I want you to remember too, when you find that thing, you are also a limited edition.